Hello, and welcome to Why Your Warranty Claims Process Needs Serious Intelligence. We are Nihilent Technologies, and we'd like to talk to you about our Site Into for Warranty Analytics solution. My name is Greg Baldini, and presenting with me today is Susan Van Riper. Warranty claims have a large impact on any manufacturer or retail organization. The impact can be felt in many ways, but financial impact is certainly the easiest to quantify. Beyond the financial impacts, though, warranty claims can also affect legal risk, customer satisfaction, and in general, the entire quality assurance process. Ultimately, warranty claims, though, come right out of the bottom line. They come out of sales. What our Site Into for Warranty Analytics solution allows you to do is it leverages a modern data architecture to provide timely advanced analytics when and where you need it. We support deep analyses to understand things like root cause, understanding early detection, and understanding the impact and exposure of specific warranty claims and trends on the organization. And we put in place proactive measures for this early detection and advanced analysis. So let's actually take a look at the solution and understand some of the things that we can do with it. When we look at our warranty analytics solution, we've got a number of dashboards. And so what we're looking at here is a fictional company, Bikes R Us, a manufacturer and distributor of mountain, road, and touring bikes. So let's just take a minute to understand this company, understand a little bit more about Bikes R Us. What we're looking at here is data through June of 2017. So all of this reporting is as of the halfway point of the year. We can see pretty easily up at the top left here that we've got three different product lines: mountain bikes, road bikes, and touring bikes. And we can see based on this trend that touring bikes were introduced in the 2017 model year, with just a couple of sales in 2016, but then quickly coming in at the second place seller for 2017. We can see that road bikes make up the vast majority of our sales, and mountain bikes come in third out of those three. Looking down on the bottom left, we can see the global distribution of where we're selling these bikes. And up on the top right, we'll see an additional map that shows where we are producing these bikes. And what we can see pretty easily is that we're selling and producing mostly in the United States. We can also understand more details about our various product lines. So we can take a look at just road bikes and understand where those are being sold, where they're being produced. We can also see our average price on these road bikes, about $928. And road bikes have totaled $35 million in revenue across the lifetime of our company. We can look at touring bikes, which we have just introduced in the past year, and already in our partial 2017 year, they've earned us $7.5 million of revenue with an average price of about $910. We can also look at our mountain bikes, our lowest seller, but actually our highest average price, coming in at $1,415 on average for a mountain bike being sold. And these have made us about $27,400,000 over the life of the entire company. We can easily drill up and down these hierarchies and understand higher and lower levels of detail. So if we wanted to understand what makes up those numbers for the first half of 2017, we can drill down here and see the numbers at a quarter level, or we can keep going down and we can see this down to the month level and understand the movement and patterns across these various product lines over time. We can also take a look at our warranty claims and just understand at a high level, what does this trend look like? And one thing that jumps out very quickly is our mountain bikes. Despite being our lowest seller in terms of number of units sold, mountain bikes definitely win, or in this case lose, on the total number of warranty claims that have been submitted against them. And a very interesting thing here is in 2017, we have 3.4 thousand claims that have been submitted for mountain bikes just in our 6 months of data. That's as opposed to the 3.2 thousand that were submitted in 2016. So in half a year of 2017, we've already submitted more, or we've received more mountain bike warranty claims than we saw for the entire year of 2016. And we can understand what the impact of those claims is. So overall, over the course of our company, of our company's lifetime, we've paid out $2.2 million worth of warranty claims. And we can see that again broken down by our various product lines. And mountain bikes make up more than half of that amount, with an average claim amount over time of $167. We can actually look at how this trend progresses over time. We can look at our 2015 model year, an average claim amount of $233 versus our 2016 down to $180, and our 2017 model year, $135. So despite the number of claims increasing, we're actually getting better about how much we're paying out per claim. And we can start to ask pretty interesting questions about our data. And we can start to answer pretty useful things. So one scenario that we'll want to play out is from the perspective of a quality engineer. What would the impact be if we wanted to extend our standard 12-month warranty to an 18-month warranty? So let's take a deeper dive into some of these warranty claims and understand what this looks like over the course of the lifetime of a product. And so looking at this claim details page, up at the top right, we can understand that the vast majority of our warranty claims are being served under our standard warranty. That's a 12-month warranty. But we do have some amount of extended warranties that come in. Looking down on the bottom, on the right, we can understand what are the various systems that are failing, that are leading to these warranty claims being submitted. And then on the bottom left, we can understand from the point of sale, how old is a vehicle, how long has a customer owned that bicycle before a claim is submitted. And we can see that this decays pretty quickly with most of the claims coming in before month 6 or month 7. And so this seems pretty encouraging that we could extend our warranty and perhaps garner some extra customer goodwill, use that as an additional feature we can sell based on, since the majority of these claims are coming in fairly early in the lifetime. But we'll definitely want to do a little bit more analysis to understand what that impact could potentially be. And so first, we can just select our standard warranty claims and understand what that decay looks like. And with this, we can see that under standard warranty, almost all of the claims are coming in before month 5, with month 6 dropping off quite precipitously there. We can also understand what that looks like over the course of lifetime for an extended warranty. So for those claims that do come in on an extended warranty, what does that breakdown look like? We can see extended warranties start at 12 months of age for the product and then extend out as far as 24 months. And this is a relatively small number of claims, but again, we can see there's this decay where in our extended warranty, most of these claims come within the first few months of validity for that extended warranty. And so again, this looks fairly promising that we might be able to change our standard warranty and bring that out to 18 months. We don't have too much in terms of extended warranty, and most of our standard warranties seem to drop off fairly quickly. But what we really want to understand is the volatility of these claims. We don't want to open ourselves up or expose ourselves to more risk around potential high-value late claims in life. And so one thing that we can look at is this variability. And with this, what we can use is some of our patented process for automatically creating control charts for Six Sigma analytics. And what we can look at here is a control chart showing the deviation of the claim amount by date. And so what we're looking at here is for mountain bikes specifically. And if you're familiar with the control chart, you'll know that this red line indicates 3 sigmas or 3 standard deviations above average. And we see mountain bikes actually spike above this 3 standard deviation line quite a bit. And what this tells us is that over the course of mountain bike warranty claims, we see high variability, and we can't put a good prediction on the total claim amount that will come. And we can compare this to our newest product line, the touring bikes. And with touring bikes, we've obviously implemented a new manufacturing process, and this gives us actually a much more controlled and a much narrower band of warranty claims that we're paying out in, as opposed to those mountain bikes. And so what this tells us is we don't really have a good handle on when and how mountain bike warranty claims will come in, or how much they'll be. And what I'll want to do now is switch over to Sue to take a look at some of the advanced analytics we can do about what are the rates of warranty claims over the course of lifetime for a product. So Sue, take it away.
Thanks, Greg. As mentioned previously, the bikes that we are looking at right now have a 12-month warranty with an optional extended warranty. But originally, we had considered both a 12-month warranty and an 18-month warranty. Now, let's take a look at how advanced analytics helped us arrive at the decisions that we made on the warranties that we were going to be offering. First, what I want to show you is a Weibull probability distribution function, or PDF. Yeah, I know that's a mouthful, but this is a commonly used plot in survival analysis and is particularly important for warranty analytics. For this plot, what we did is we took the initial quality test data that we had done and doing the sampling coming off our manufacturing line, as well as some of the very early warranty claims data. And then what we wanted to do is to forecast out what the overall failures for bikes would be. And again, here we're using a commonly used tool. It's called a Weibull distribution for forecasting those expected failures over the life of the bikes. As we look at this plot, what we're looking at on the x-axis is the number of days past the purchase date. So after the customer actually purchased the bike. We chose the purchase date as we thought it was much more meaningful than the actual production date because it's really the usage that we're looking at. On the y-axis, what we are looking at here is the probability on each day of having a bike fail, a single bike. And really what we want to do first of all in looking at this is look at the shape of the curve that we have here. What we see is a very, very high rise right at the beginning, and then it starts tailing off over time. So what this may indicate is that we might have a problem in our manufacturing process, and we're actually shipping off bikes with quality issues, or we might have a shipping problem. But there is a sharp uptick right when people start using their bikes. Now, we can investigate that further, and Greg will show you how we start looking at that after we're done with the advanced analytics piece here. The other thing that we can look at on this plot is the mean time to failure. And really what this is, what is the average number of days after the purchase of a bike that we will get a failure for that bike? And that is represented by the solid vertical line here. And what we see is it's right around 500 days. The dashed red lines here are 95% confidence intervals. And so, you know, if we did this a number of times, we would get anything from 485 to 515 days. So it's, you know, right around 500 days. So now what we want to do is to look at the actual claims that are coming in. Now, there's a number of different charts that we could look at, but for this particular analysis, let's go ahead and take a look at the reliability plot. So here what we're showing is, again, we have the number of days after purchase, and we have the reliability on the y-axis. And what this is saying is here is 60% of the bikes will not have had a failure at 210 days. Okay, so this is looking at all the 3 different product lines and all the different model years. Now, we had said the mean time to failure, which is equivalent to the 50th percentile here in the reliability, we expected the 50th percentile to be at about 500 days. But what we're actually seeing here is that the mean time to failure, or the 50th percentile, is actually a little less than 300 days. So our forecast wasn't really good. And in looking at previous claims coming in, we suspect we might have a problem in our mountain bikes. So let's go ahead and just click on the mountain bikes. And what I want you to do is to watch how this curve changes when we just click on the mountain bike. Okay, you can see it's shifted a little bit. And the biggest shift is actually the number of days here actually went from 1,000 down to about 800 in this area. And it seems like the shape is very similar. So while everything is a little bit shorter, it's the same kind of pattern. Okay, so this is taking a look at all 3 model years. But you know, we actually suspect that the model year 2015 is probably a little bit better than 2016 and is better than 2017. So what we can do is we can actually take a look at that. So let's look at model year 2015. And again, what I want you to do is watch this chart as I change. So if we look at this, we can see that it actually shifted over to the right a little bit. So if we look at the 50th percentile, we're starting to look, it's right around 300, which was a little bit more than the average for all 3 years for the mountain bike. Again, watch how this changes as I click on 2016. You know, it shifted to the right, but in actuality, because the number of days changed, and we look at the 50th percentile, what we can see it's in around 230 to 240 days, which is actually worse than 2016. And again, let's look at 2017. It actually shifts to the right, but notice that the number of days are actually fewer. And if we look at the mean time to failure, or the 50th percentile, we're all the way down to 160 or 170 days. So it looks like we're having a real problem in model year 2017 with mountain bikes. And to analyze that further, what I'm going to do is hand it back to Greg.
Thanks very much, Sue. And so what we'll want to look at now is another scenario. We looked at a longer-term strategic question of whether we might want to extend our standard warranty. Now I want to look at something a bit more tactical. We'll look at this from the concept of a service organization and understanding what are the recent trends, what are the things that are happening in the short term in warranty claims. And so what we're looking at here is actually a historic trend that we had already identified. If we look at this top left chart, we can see a significant spike in March. And what this is telling us is that we have a certain baseline of warranty claims that we were expecting, and then this spike is indicative of a new trend. This is something that we'll want to understand. And this is where we can leverage some of the advanced slicing and dicing to really dive into a root cause analysis of what is causing this spike in March. And so this is something that our service engineers noticed back in March, and were able to use this to very quickly identify what was contributing to this. What we can do first is we can just drill down and understand which weeks did this actually occur in. And we can see that the initial part of that spike really happens in week 9, which had a 33% increase for claims for mountain bikes, had a 23% increase for claims for road bikes, as well as a 42% increase in claims for touring bikes. So this week 9 and 10 is where the spike really started. And going back up to the month level, we can see those trends, again, multiple tens of percentage points jumping between February and March. So this is definitely a disturbing trend and something that we want to get a handle on very quickly. And what this report does is it allows you to see, based on the historical trend, what is that deviation from month to month, and showing you what are the largest percentage gainers and losers from one month to the next. And what we want to understand is really what's driving this increase. And so when we're looking at this spike in March, we can see that 36% increase comes just for mountain bikes, and that really is the dominating factor. There are increases for both road bikes and touring bikes, but those are such low volume that they're not really driving this top level. And so what we can do is we can filter this entire page down to just look at mountain bikes. And then this allows us to go one level deeper. Looking down to this middle left chart, we can understand within the mountain bike product line, what are those model families that are really driving the increase? And if we look at this, we've got our most popular model family within mountain bikes, this mountain bike 200, that spikes up from 375 to 486 claims. And this is a 30% increase just on its own. We can also look at some of the other model families in here, and we see that all of these have pretty big spikes, but the other interesting one is this mountain bike 500. This more than doubles in number of claims. So these two are really the big drivers. And so again, we can filter this down a little bit more and concentrate the entire report on just these two model families. And now we could get into the individual system codes and eventually down to components that are failing. And so again, we still see that with these filters applied, we've got that pronounced spike going from February to March. And what we'll want to understand is what are the big gainers in number of claims that are being submitted. And here we're looking at the system codes, or the system descriptions. We can see we've got this top level, chains and cassettes are really driving a lot of this with nearly a 40% increase from February to March of 2017. We can also see this red line, the cranks and pedals. This is actually moving up in rank. And what this ribbon chart shows us is that it's moved up from a relatively low rank and it's been climbing. And we see this as a trend that continues. We detected in March that it was spiking, but that trend continued on into April. And so that's another really big contributor to this increase in warranty claims. And so again, we can filter down this entire page and understand the contribution of those two pieces. So again, that's chains and cassettes, and then cranksets and pedals. And so we can just make these selections and understand what's driving this. Now we can look down into individual components, and we see that these individual components, just about across the board in these systems, we see pretty big increases, all in the tens of percentage points from February into March. And so we don't necessarily have a single component that's driving this. This seems to be across the board in those two systems. But what we can do down here at the bottom is we can get even a level deeper and understand what are the specific components and go down even to the part number, the description here, and understand what was the failure. What was the mode of failure that caused this warranty claim? What was the total claim amount that ended up getting submitted for that specific part based on all of these filters that we've applied. And we can see that these top several are all these chains and cassettes. And there's a lot of abnormal wear, there's improper assembly, loose, broken. And so all of this is indicating that this is a quality issue with these components. So this might be something that can point us toward a vendor, or it could be something that points us toward the actual manufacturing process, especially with this number of improper assembly. If something's improperly assembled, it could just as easily manifest as abnormal wear. We can see that almost everything there is falling under chains and cassettes. I have to go down quite a little bit before we get to anything that is a crankset or a pedal. And so this is indicating that most of what's driving this is our chains and cassettes that are happening in the mountain bikes, specifically in the Model 200 and 500 families. And so this is pretty valuable. This helps us to understand where we need to go to pinpoint the fix, and also what is our potential exposure as we look at what have our sales been across these various product lines. And so what we can do is we can leverage another piece of our advanced analytics, and what we include in this model is a forecast of warranty claims for the remainder of the year. And so we can actually look at this report and understand, for mountain bikes, what do we expect across the rest of the year. So first we'll just look at the top level and understand across all of our product lines. Here on the top left we have total registrations, so this is number of units that are being sold month by month. Then down on the bottom left we've got the total number of claims that have come in thus far in the year, so for our 6 months of data from January to June in 2017. And then on the bottom right what we have is a monthly forecast at the model or the product line level that shows us for the remainder of the year at a month level what will our number of claims be. And so what this allows us to do is really understand our exposure. So we can look at mountain bikes and we can see within 2017 in our 6 months of data we've sold just shy of 7,000 mountain bikes, looking at $7 million in revenue, and we've already got those 3,400 claims that we saw in our initial reports. But what we can see here is what the breakdown of those claims is over time. So first of all, we see that spike in March. After that spike, we can see that that sort of started to level off. And then we can start taking in our forecast. And with our forecast, we can see what's the breakdown of those claims that we expect for the remainder of the year at a monthly level and then at a total level. So we expect nearly double the amount of claims for the rest of the year, nearly 3,000 claims. And we can understand for our mountain bikes that average claim amount of about $150. And this leads to $500,000 of warranty claim amount that we can expect to pay out based on this claim forecast. And this is based on just the units that we've sold thus far in the year. If we continue to sell mountain bikes throughout the year, we can expect this number of claims to go up even further. So if we issue a recall that might stop sales. But if we don't issue a recall, we can expect to continue selling and to continue having to serve these warranty claims against mountain bikes. And this is the type of exposure that we would want to understand to help better make a decision regarding whether we should issue a recall or whether we can handle these with our remaining warranty reserve. And so this is the type of information that you want to go to your C-suite with, so that they have enough information to make that type of decision. And again, I'll want to hand this over to Sue for just a minute to talk about what goes into this forecast and why we can count on this and what this really brings to the table in terms of planning. Rather than just doing historical reporting, we can use this very much as a planning tool. So Sue, if you could give us a little bit more detail on what goes into these forecasts and how we can leverage these.
Thanks, Greg. So what you're seeing here is the result of some machine learning that we've done in the background. We've used deep neural nets as well as some decision trees and on claims data, and actually stored them in the database and are showing the results here.
Thanks very much, Sue. And so, as we can see, there are a lot of interesting questions that we can ask of this data and a lot of interesting answers that we can get out of it. But to summarize, the benefits that we get out of the warranty analytics solution are manifold. We can do early detection and root cause analysis to understand what is going into trends that we see in the data and have enough information to make meaningful decisions about how to address those trends. It allows us to reduce legal risk. Ultimately, any warranty claim that comes through is a potential legal liability, because that warranty claim indicates that some component or the entire product has failed, and every product failure does lead to potential damages. We get increased accuracy in reporting for the remaining capital reserves. So we understand that warranty reserves are a huge financial burden on organizations, but we want to be able to manage and plan that much better. And so by understanding the forecast of claims that we expect and being able to look at what we've sold and understand that exposure, it's very valuable to plan and manage that warranty reserve. Ultimately, this allows us to change and improve our quality assurance process and our manufacturing processes to make sure that we don't get the same type of claims in the future, especially with some of those mountain bike claims where we saw a lot of improper assembly. That's a huge opportunity to go back into the manufacturing line and start to correct some of the processes that are there. We can also look at this from a supply chain management perspective. If we were seeing repeatedly defective parts, that might be an indication that we need to source parts from a new supplier, or that we might need to reevaluate our vendors. We can also look at the cost of fulfilling these warranty claims. And what we saw in our Bikes R Us data is that the cost per claim actually went down over time. And that's the type of benefit that you can get. You can make sure you manage toward the most expensive warranty claims, ensure that you won't be hit with those expensive ones. And it's okay if you're still paying out on some of the lower value claims. But what we want to do is make sure that we can address the high value claims early, understand when those are trending upward, and put in place some sort of mitigation. And ultimately, all of this leads to customer satisfaction, because once again, a warranty claim implies that a customer has a product that is malfunctioning in some way. And so by managing this process, by improving our quality assurance, we end up with happier customers and fewer claims. And I'd just like to talk a little bit about some of the expertise within Nihilent that's gone into this solution. We are historically a global consulting organization with BI and advanced analytics practices, and we've served manufacturing and retail industries extensively over the course of our organization's history. And what we've been able to do is take that experience and really coalesce all of that into this solution, so that this is benefiting from years of consulting experience, building out similar solutions in a bespoke model for customers. And this is now all being put together into a ready-to-go solution. We've got experience across manufacturing and retail verticals, like I said, and here are just a couple of the customers that we've worked with doing work like this warranty analysis and other analytics projects. Ultimately, the way that we work with organizations is to partner. We don't want to just be one more vendor. What we want to be is a partner that helps enable you to make better decisions by putting that right information into the right hands. And so by leveraging solutions like this warranty analytics solution, we can make sure that the decision makers have what they need and when they need it. And that is ultimately the way that we find that we can give value to our partner organizations. We want to make sure that all of that information is available, is accurate, and is timely. So when you need it and where you need it, and is able to support the types of questions and the types of deep dives that you want to ask of your data every day. Ultimately, what this allows you to do is move from a mode of operation of data aggregators or data processors truly into the role of a data analyst, being able to focus on the high impact questions rather than just the grunt work of moving data from point A to point B. And that's what this solution allows you to do. I would like to call out that we've got a special offer running currently, an assessment to understand if you have data that could benefit from this warranty analytics solution. So please feel free to reach out to us to see if you qualify for this offer, and we'd love to get in touch with you and talk about how you can start leveraging advanced analytics and serious intelligence in your warranty claims process. Thanks very much for your time today. We look forward to hearing from you.